Hi there, my name's Addie. I'm from Bywater Solutions, and today I want to talk about browse categories and Aspen Discovery. Browse categories are these titles that you see when you land on your homepage for Aspen Discovery. You can have multiple browse categories across the top, which scroll over, and then there's subcategories if you would like. There are two main ways that are very easy to create these browse categories. First is just a search function. So if we're going to do a regular search, this is a blank search. I want to choose what collection I think that my patrons are interested in. So I know that I want to display some young adult materials. So I'm going to go into my reading level and choose young adult. This is going to populate based on relevancy. So these are my most popular young adult materials. I'm going to scroll down all the way to the bottom of this page to add to browse. I'll click on add to browse, and I'm going to create a new category. So I'm going to call this young adult. I'm not going to add it to a subcategory because I want this to be my main browse category. I'm going to click create category, and it's giving me a success message. I scroll all the way to the top again, and I click to my home page. I'll see that browse category has been created on the main page. You can see my titles. So I'm going to click into young adult, and I want to further fine-tune these searches for my young adults. So I know that I want to show them fiction, and maybe I want to only show them movies on this search. So again, I'm going to scroll all the way down to add to browse. I'm going to create young adult fiction movies. And I am going to add this as a subcategory to my young adult. So I'll create that. It's been successfully added. And I want to show a few more. So now I don't want the fiction filter, and I want to remove the movies. I want to show them anything that's available online because we're not currently open. So I'm going to scroll down and add to browse. And this is going to be young adult available online. I'm going to add it to my main young adult category. So I can continue to make different searches based on my facets on the side or my facets up here, if it's available, what type of material it is. And when I go to my main page, I see my young adult with my two subcategories. Another way to create a browse category is by lists. So the easiest way for me to find all of my searchable lists is to search in lists, do a blank search, and this will show me all of my public lists currently. I want, it's Valentine's Day, and I want to create a browse category for New York Times love and relationships lists. So when I click into the list, I see an add to browse, and I'm going to call this New York Times love and relationship. I'm not going to add this to a subcategory because I want this to display on my main page by itself, and I'm going to create the category. When I click on my page, I see it there. There's only a few, but if you have a longer list, it'll fill up this block. We can also now create lists of lists and then turn those into browse categories. So I'm going to go back into my list. And I want to make a list showing all of our New York Times lists that we have in our catalog. So I'm going to click add to list under my list, and then create a new list. I'm going to call this New York Times reading lists. Whoop. I want this to be public, and I'm going to create it. I'm going to start adding some of these lists to my New York. Oh, I already added that one. And it told me that I already added it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to add this one to my list. New York Times reading lists. I'm going to add this. And I'm just going to scroll down and add a few more. So now I've got this list of lists that I want to be my browse categories. I'm going to hop over to my account, my lists, and I see my New York Times reading list. I'm going to click into that and add to browse. So I'm going to give it a title, New York Times reading lists, and create that category. And then from the home page, there's your list of lists on your browse category. In addition to going straight into the list search to create a browse category, you can go to your own lists and you can see this anti-racism reading list that we curated, which we've already turned into a browse category, but I can click into it from my account directly and add to browse that way. You can see that I tried to create this again, and Aspen told me that I wasn't able to do that because the title wasn't unique. So it kind of gave me an indicator that I couldn't create that list again. I could create it with a different name. If I wanted to. So now I'm on my homepage and I realize I have two of the same lists. You can edit what lists display here, the order they display in, and the order that the subcategories display in as well, if you have the correct permissions. So we go into account and we're going to scroll down to configuration templates. Under configuration templates, you'll see browse category groups. So if I click into that, I see my library right here, and I'm going to edit it here. This shows me all of my browse categories that I currently have on my main page. So I've made this anti-racism reading list twice now. I don't want it there any longer, so I'm going to go in and delete it. I've decided that I want my recommended for you to actually be my first browse category. I want my New York Times love and relationship to be back here a little bit. And I've reordered it in that way, and I'm going to scroll down and save changes and return. So if you go to the homepage now, you can see that my second anti-racism reading list is gone and the order has been adjusted. To change the order of the sub browse categories, you're also going to go into configuration templates, but now we're going to go into the browse categories. So these are all of my browse main categories and subcategories. So I'm going to go into my young adult, and if I edit it, I actually want the available online to be first. I want that to be the first thing that my patrons see. So I just drag it and drop it above the fiction movies and save the changes. Now, if I go back to my main page, the available online is first.